MkII posted 3:15.395 on his last lap, and will be pushing hard for an even lower time. MkII is on his practice out lap. It's a lovely day for racing here at Kyalami 1967 as we watch these drivers warm up and get ready for the race. MkII is on his practice out lap. It's a lovely day for racing here at Kyalami 1967 as we watch these drivers warm up and get ready for the race. Gregory Myers is on his practice out lap. MkII has a best lap time of 1:18.897. With just 2 minutes left before we move to qualification, there is not long left for these drivers to finish their preparations. MkII has a best lap time of 1:18.897.
There is always more time to be found, but MkII is not guaranteed to find it.
Stefano just posted a 2:24.797 crossing start finish. Stefano Amodei posted 2:24.797 on his last lap, and will be pushing hard for an even lower time.
Stefano is not giving up and will be looking for every tenth.
Stefano Amodei has a best lap time of 2:24.797.
The time clock can be a cruel mistress that is all too willing to show you your faults.
MkII is getting to grips with the Lola T70 MkII Spyder in this practice session. MkII is in the S's. With just 0 minutes left before we move to qualification, there is not long left for these drivers to finish their preparations.
If there is still time on the clock, there is still time to improve.
MkII has a best lap time of 1:20.589.
MkII is not giving up and will be looking for every tenth.
MkII posted 1:20.589 on his last lap, and will be pushing hard for an even lower time. MkII just posted a 1:20.589 crossing start finish.
The time clock can be a cruel mistress that is all too willing to show you your faults.
Nils Shepard has a best lap time of 1:23.640.
There is always more time to be found, but Nils is not guaranteed to find it.
With just 1 minute left before we move to qualification, there is not long left for these drivers to finish their preparations. Kevin Lekmanski posted 1:19.529 on his last lap, and will be pushing hard for an even lower time.
If there is still time on the clock, there is still time to improve.
Kevin just posted a 1:19.529 crossing start finish.
Kevin is not giving up and will be looking for every 10th.
It's a lovely day for racing here at Kyalami 1967 as we watch these drivers warm up and get ready for the race. The engines are revving up and the drivers are ready to hit the gas pedal for this qualifying session at Kyalami 1967.
Let's see who's got the speed and the skills to take the pole position.
It's all about strategy in these early moments. Kevin Lekmanski is taking his time to prepare for his qualifying run and get everything just right.
These are the moments that really matter. Let's see if Kevin can deliver.
That Lola T70 MkII Spyder looks good driving through Barbecue Bend.
The Lola T70 MkII Spyder is indeed a sweet-ass looking ride.
Kevin Lekmanski completes that lap in his Lola T70 MkII Spyder, putting him in P30. The adrenaline is pumping. Mellero is on his out lap, warming up the tires and getting ready to put in a fast lap time.
He'll want to get a good gap established for the flying lap.
This is where the mental game comes into play. Nils Shepard is taking his time to prepare for his qualifying run.
This is the moment he's been preparing for. Let's see if he can execute.
Nils Shepard is driving through Barbecue Bend.
I have always loved this section of the track.
Nils Shepard is keeping his head down through Clubhouse Bend.
Don't forget to check out the views near Clubhouse Bend, they are fantastic.
You can feel the tension building. David Zahn is out on track and getting ready to push for his qualifying time. David Zahn is working his way through Sunset Bend.
Fuel, fumes, fans, and fights, Sunset Bend has it all.
It looks like Nils Shepard is getting ready to make his move. He's taking his time to warm up those tires and get everything just right. This is what it's all about. Lukashen Crow is putting everything he's got into this qualifying session. Lukashen Crow is expertly commanding that car through Barbecue Bend.
If Lukashen Crow listens closely, the sounds of cheering fans should just barely be audible over the roar of the engine.
There are just over 10 minutes left in this qualification session. Stefano Amode has just completed that lap in 1:21.491, which is 1.783 off the best time, putting him in P4. Nils Shepard is on his first flying lap.
Shepard certainly is nailing this one. This is shaping up to be a great performance.
Nils Shepard has improved by 0.49 up through Jikske sweep. Lucas Crow has found an extra 0.35. Nils Shepard will be looking to use this first hot lap to set a solid time in the standings.
It's always impressive to see a driver in the zone like this how. Let's see if he can maintain this pace.
Nils Shepard is driving through Liukop Bend and is up 0.56. Nils Shepard just clocked a 1:21.611, 2.597 off of P1 and good enough for P7. Let's see if he can improve on that time further. It's all about precision and speed in qualifying, and Kevin Lekmanski is nailing both. Kevin Lekmanski has completed the flying lap in 1:19.415, which is good enough for P2, down 0.401 to the leader. Stefano Amode is looking relatively composed going through Clubhouse Bend.
This is such a great track. I need to make it back here more often.
Nils Shepard is now up 0.18. That Lola T70 MkII Spyder looks good driving through Liukop Bend.
There's a spot near here where the teenagers sneak off to make out.
Adam Keefe has improved by 0.19. Adam Keefe is currently on provisional pole, with a time of 1:18.886.
It may be difficult for him to improve on that. Sometimes trying too hard makes you slower. It's far better to drive smooth and smart.
It's clear that Jake Feemster is pushing his car to the very edge of traction on this qualifying lap.
Jake is indeed a rare breed. It takes a special kind of driver to thrive under this kind of pressure.
Jake Feemster is keeping his head down through Clubhouse Bend. Jake Feemster completes his lap in a time of 1:22.088, currently in P8.
The action and glory drivers have lived here at Clubhouse Bend is truly historic.
Nils Shepard is up 0.49. Nils Shepard is driving through Liukop Bend. Nils Shepard has some work to do, as his best time of 1:21.246 is only good enough for 6th.
That's not a bad time, but I am sure he will keep working on that 2.36 gap to pole.
This is what it's all about. Gregory Myers is putting everything he's got into this qualifying session. Gregory Myers has just completed that lap in 1:21.077, which is 2.191 off the best time, putting him in P6.
Let's see if he can put a good marker down.
There are just over 5 minutes left in this qualification session. Sketty is expertly commanding that car through the S's.
This track has many great straights and corners, but this one is especially good.
Kevin Lekmanski has found an extra 0.23. Lucas Crow is looking relatively composed going through Barbecue Bend. Sketty has found an extra 0.55. Sketty is 0.71 up driving through Sunset Bend. Sketty is in the green by 0.44, making his way through Liucop Bend. Sketty will be happy, with a time good enough for 5th in this qualifying session.
Every fraction of a second counts. He is surely working on that 1.594 gap to pole.
Sketty is off the pace 0.28 at Crowthorne Corner.
Sketty is likely taking a deep breath to try and refocus his efforts.
Adam Keefe is down 0.15 seconds on the way through Barbecue Bend.
Adam Keefe needs to regroup, refocus, and knock it up a notch.
Adam Keefe is working his way through Clubhouse Bend.
Fans sitting near Clubhouse Bend get some of the best views of the action.
Stefano Amodei does not look to be improving on this lap. Ada, any thoughts on ways to improve?
It's easy for a driver to get into a rhythm on the track, but there's no guarantee that rhythm is right. Each corner needs to be constantly reevaluated to look for a better line.
Stefano Amodei has some work to do, as his best time of 1:21.491 is only good enough for 8th.
There's at least 2.605 seconds to be found, but Stefano may be looking for it in the wrong places.
Stefano Amodei is currently up 0.26 going through Barbecue Bend. Stefano Amodei is keeping his head down through Clubhouse Bend.
There's not much better than sitting near here and watching the cars speed by.
Stefano Amodei is driving through Liucop Bend.
There's a great spot near here to kick back with a cold drink and enjoy the beauty of it all.
Lucas Crow has improved by 0.11. Lucas Crow appears focused and prepared driving through Barbecue Bend. That Lola T70 MkII Spyder looks good driving through Clubhouse Bend.
To see the best action, you can't go wrong here at Clubhouse Bend.
Lucas Crow will be happy, with a time good enough for 4th in this qualifying session. A challenging session for Ryan Wilson so far. He's currently in 11th position, which is not where he wanted to be. But in motorsport, we've seen remarkable comebacks, and he'll be hoping for better fortunes to secure a good finishing position. Ryan Wilson is looking relatively composed going through the S's. Ryan Wilson crosses the start-finish line at the end of his outlap. Impressive work from Lucas Crow, who has claimed 4th on the grid. Now, the focus is on maintaining his composure and push for an even better starting position. Currently in 10th, Ryan Wilson has displayed promising speed during the qualifying session. The real test lies in whether he can convert this performance into a higher grid position. Ryan Wilson is keeping his head down through Jixkay Sweep.
The Lola T70 MkII Spyder is indeed a sweet-ass looking ride.
Ryan Wilson has improved by 2.15 up through the S's.
If Ryan looks at that delta too much, it may end up being a distraction, and all that time he found may be lost.
Stefano Amodei has secured a respectable 8th in the qualifying session. This is a great spot to use as a launchpad for a strong race performance. Stefano Amodei has some work to do, as his best time of 1:21.318 is only good enough for 8th.
That's not a bad time, but I am sure he will keep working on that 2.432 gap to pole.
Incredible drive by Ryan Wilson so far, earning him 9th. The competition is fierce, however, and he'll need to quickly find more time to get even closer to the sharp end of the grid. Ryan Wilson just clocked a 1:22.087, 3.201 off of P1 and good enough for P9. Let's see if he can improve on that time further. It's a very still day here at Kyalami 1967, as we're getting ready to get things underway. Starting in pole position gives MkII a clear advantage over the rest of the field.
The pressure's on now. Let's see if any of the other drivers can challenge for this spot at the start.
Starting on the front row gives Kevin Lekmanski the best possible chance at challenging for the lead.
He can't count his chickens before they've hatched. There is a long way to go.
David Zahn will look to make a splash from the 3rd position on the starting grid.
It's not always easy to get the Lola T70 MkII Spyder this high up the starting grid.
Lukashen Crow is lining up 4th.
The Belarusian driver will be focused on a good result from here.
The 5th place on the grid belongs to Sketty, a driver with plenty of experience.
Let's see what Sketty can do.
Gregory Myers will begin the race from the 6th spot on the starting grid.
I think we are all looking forward to seeing what Greg can do from here.
Nils Shepard will be looking to gain ground quickly, starting from 7th on the grid.
We've not seen the best from Nils yet.
Sitting in 8th is Stefano Amodei.
Who knows? Stefano could be the dark horse that steals the show.
Ryan Wilson is placed in 9th.
Another mid-pack start for Ryan.
Jake Feemster has qualified 10th. Melero will need to be on top of his game, starting from 11th on the grid. Narwhal is in a solid position, starting from 12th on the grid. And we're off. As the race begins, drivers must be wary of aggressive moves that can lead to trouble on the first lap.
These opening moments can make or break a driver's race. Strategy and skill are key to navigating this intense start.
Is there a better sight than a field of elite racing drivers battling for position? As we watch the drivers fight it out in the first lap, I can already feel that this is going to be an epic race. The pressure is on when the field is this tightly packed. Maintaining just enough aggression to hold off their rivals without pushing too hard will help these drivers keep it clean.
There are a few drivers with a point to prove, and a few with some grudges to bear. Let's hope they can keep it clean.
Jake Feemster is showing some real determination, making up positions right away.
It's early days yet, but if he can maintain this effort, then it puts him in a strong position for the race.
This is going to be one hell of a race, I can already feel it.
Let's hope everyone is able to stay focused for the challenge ahead.
Having started in P5, Sketty will be hoping for a good result in this race.
Every corner, every lap, and every race is a chance for these drivers to hone their abilities and improve their skills.
Incredible. Mellero is caught in a fierce battle, with Stefano breathing down his neck 0.2 seconds away, and Shepard just ahead with a gap of 0.1 seconds. It's a test of his racing skills. It looks like Sketty is all over Gregory Myers going through Crowthorne Corner, increasing the pressure and hoping for a mistake.
He'll need to keep it on the road, or at the very least the rumble strips. The fastest way around is not usually in the grass. As the saying goes, too much grass will slow you down.
It's a steady race for Sketty so far, keeping it clean and maintaining focus.
That's the mark of a good driver. Sketty is staying focused on his own race and not getting distracted.
This is getting exciting. Mellero is looking for any gap that might open up the position.
Shepard is doing a great job of defending in the lead, and Mellero is pushing hard to close the gap. It's an exciting race and it's not over yet.
Pushing too hard can lead to mistakes, and we're seeing that now. That car is really unsettled from being pushed for every last bit of speed. Gregory Myers is placed 8th at the moment, and hoping to keep his distance ahead of Nils Shepard, who is 0.3 seconds behind. There's not much to report on from Gregory Myers at the moment. He's just keeping his head down and putting in consistent laps.
Sometimes that's all it takes to secure a good result. Myers just needs to stay focused and avoid any mistakes.
Stop the press. Big gains for Nils Shepard as they move up the field, leaving Sketty behind. The fans are on the edge of their seats. It doesn't get any closer than this.
It's a battle for position as Nils tries to make a move on Sketty. This is what racing is all about.
It's all eyes on this battle as Sketty in 9th tries to hold off the challenge of Stefano Amodi.
Absolutely. Sketty in 9th is doing a fantastic job of maintaining his lead, but he can't afford to make a single mistake. Stefano is looking for any opportunity to make a move. This could be a battle to the finish line.
Oh, this is getting intense. Gregory Myers is just behind Sketty.
If Myers pushes too hard, he might end up taking the scenic route, and nobody's got time for sightseeing during a race.
It's a close race between Mellero and Gregory Myers in 9th.
If Mellero gets any closer, he might as well ask Myers for a piggyback ride.
It seems like Gregory Myers is getting in range of Sketty.
If Greg gets too close, he might end up taking the paint off.
Mellero is giving it his all chasing down Gregory Myers in P9.
You can see that car bouncing around as it rides the curbs. It's a risky move that could end in disaster.
They're going for the same piece of tarmac. Sparks are flying as they battle for position, daring each other to brake later and go deeper into the corners. It's a challenging situation for Gregory Myers. He's sandwiched between fierce competitors, Mellero 0.1 seconds away and Sketty 0.1 seconds ahead. He'll need to stay sharp and find an opportunity to make a move. Braking update. What a tight spot for Gregory Myers. Mellero is right on his tail 0.1 seconds away, and Sketty just inches ahead with a gap of 0.1 seconds. It's a true test of these drivers' racecraft abilities.
Absolutely. How? The pressure is mounting for Greg, who needs to navigate through this challenging situation. It's crucial to remain focused and make calculated moves.
Stefano Amode wants to find a way round Gregory Myers.
And if you're enjoying the racing, please remember to like and subscribe.
Kevin Lekmansky is on a mission, chasing Adam Keefe, who's desperately trying to stay ahead. Oh, this is getting intense. Mellero is just a few car lengths behind Sketty.
The racing is getting tight between Mellero and Sketty as they battle for P8. No doubt, both drivers know that one mistake could cost them the position. It's a test of nerves as much as skill.
Looks like Kevin Lekmansky is really hitting those curbs aggressively, which can unsettle the car and cause handling issues.
Indeed, taking too much curb can upset the car's balance, leading to oversteer or understeer. It's all about finding the perfect opportunity. Lekmansky needs to stay patient and wait for Adam Keefe to make a mistake.
Things are getting spicy now, as Mellero and Sketty look to battle it out for 8th place. This is where the race gets really interesting. Sketty is closing in on Mellero. It's not looking good for Sketty, who is still behind Mellero, and the gap is increasing. Every move counts now as Kevin Lekmansky works to reel in Adam Keefe and overtake for P1. The pressure is on as Sketty tries to catch up to Mellero.
Sketty needs to focus to have a chance at getting past Mellero.
It looks like Mellero is pulling away from Sketty. The gap is continuing to grow as they head through the S's.
He needs to pick up the pace for sure, but that's not always a real possibility.
The race is really heating up. Gregory Myers is hunting down Sketty with everything he's got. It looks like Gregory Myers is making a move. The gap to Sketty is now down to 0.4 seconds. The pursuit is on. Jake Feemster is closing the gap on David Zahn, determined to claim P3.
With just 0.3 seconds between them, Feemster will need to close the gap to have hopes of a pass.
Look at that, Sketty is hot on the tail of Mellero. The gap between Sketty and Mellero is growing. It's now up to 0.6 seconds. This is where the skill and precision of the drivers really comes into play. Kevin Lekmansky is chasing Adam Keefe in P1. Jake Feemster is pushing really hard, but as we know, pushing too hard can lead to other mistakes, like locking up the brakes or missing a shift.
It's a game of strategy now as Jake hunts down Dave. Yes, it's all about choosing the right moments to push and when to conserve energy, waiting for the perfect opportunity to strike.
Gregory Myers is running 10th and trying to catch Nils Shepard. It seems like Gregory Myers is struggling. His last lap time was a bit off the pace of Nils Shepard. Sketty is giving it his all, chasing down Mellero in P7. Gregory Myers is on a mission, chasing Nils Shepard, who's desperately trying to stay ahead.
It's a fine line between pushing the car to its limits and losing control. Myers is really walking that fine line.
A strong showing from Lukashen Crow, who is currently 5th. Hold that thought. Oh dear, Lukashen Crow has dropped down to 6th.
That's right, Lukashen Crow can't afford to make any mistakes or let up. Every point counts in this championship.
Hold on a second. A tough moment for Lukashen Crow, who has just lost a place, now in 7th.
Sucks to be them, Hal.
It's all about consistency for Narwhal, who is currently 11th.
Definitely Hal, but Narwhal can't afford to get complacent. This race is going to require focus and intensity.
This is a thrilling battle as Jake Feemster edges closer to David Zahn in their fight for P3.
We'll have to wait to see if Feemster can use the draft to his advantage, or if the lack of downforce will hinder his progress.
Hold on a second. It's a tale of two drivers right now, with Jake Feemster gaining places and David Zahn losing them. Pushing too hard can lead to mistakes, and we're seeing that now. That car is really unsettled from being pushed for every last bit of speed.
The gap between them is just over 0.3 seconds, which can feel like miles if you're trailing and not catching up.
Oh, this is getting intense. Lukashen Crow is just a few car lengths behind Sketty. The battle for P3 is heating up as David Zahn tries to catch Jake Feemster in P3. In racing, anything can, and usually does, happen, especially in such an epic showdown.
It's going to be a close one. Lukashen Crow will have to push hard to create an opportunity.
Every move counts now as Gregory Myers works to reel in Nils Shepard and overtake for P9.
Myers is really pushing the limits. He's riding the curbs and hustling that Lola T70 MkII Spyder like a boss.
Hold that thought. A brilliant maneuver from Gregory Myers, who has just moved up the field. Looks like Nils Shepard is really hitting those curbs aggressively, which can unsettle the car and cause handling issues.
Indeed, taking too much curb can upset the car's balance, leading to oversteer or understeer.
The pursuit is on. Kevin Lekmansky is closing the gap on Adam Keefe, determined to claim P1. Stop the press. Superb driving from Kevin Lekmansky, who with that overtake has gained a position in the race.
The gap between them is now just over 0.5 seconds.
While Adam Keefe is not under immediate threat from Jake Feemster, he can still benefit from staying focused. Any slip-up could lose him the position.
That's right, and Feemster knows to keep pushing hard and driving his own race. He can't let Adam Keefe off the hook.
Hold on a moment. I don't think that's the fastest way around Kyalami 1967.
Oops, Stefano is going to be wishing that hadn't happened.
These drivers are walking a razor's edge between pushing the limits and making costly errors.
Absolutely. It's all about finding that sweet spot where you're pushing the car to its limits without crossing the line into reckless driving.
Braking alert. Looks like that's a mistake from David Zahn. This could be costly.
David is not going to be happy about that.
The race is really heating up. MkII is hunting down Ryan Wilson with everything he's got. The pressure is on as Jake Feemster tries to catch up to Adam Keefe. Jake Feemster could be on a charge here, Ada. He's just put in a quicker lap than Adam Keefe.
We will have to see if Adam Keefe has got any answers for that.
It's a tense battle for position between Ryan Wilson in 5th and MkII in 6th. Ryan Wilson is keeping MkII at bay with a gap of 0.2 seconds. This is where the skill and precision of the drivers really comes into play. MkII is chasing Ryan Wilson in P5.
MkII is looking to close the 0.4 second gap and make a pass.
Jake Feemster is running 3rd and trying to catch Adam Keefe. It seems like Jake Feemster has got the bit between his teeth, improving on Adam Keefe's lap time there. Lukashen Crow is giving it his all, chasing down MkII in P6.
One important aspect here is choosing the right braking points. Lukashen Crow needs to be precise to avoid overshooting and losing valuable time.
This is a thrilling battle as Jake Feemster edges closer to Adam Keefe in their fight for P2.
Don't forget the role of aerodynamics. Feemster should use slipstreaming to his advantage and close the gap to Adam Keefe.
Hold the phone. A great moment for Jake Feemster, who has just gained a place and moved up the standings.
Impressive. Feemster is really showing his skill and determination out there.
Wow, Adam Keefe is really pushing hard to catch up to Jake Feemster.
There's blood in the water for second place.
Pushing too hard can lead to mistakes, and we're seeing that now. That car is really unsettled from being pushed for every last bit of speed. Hold on to your hats, folks. Lukashen Crow is right on the heels of MkII, and we're in for a wild ride.
If things go wrong between Lukashen Crow and MkII, they could be exchanging more than just paint, like maybe a strongly worded post-race chat.
Things are heating up as Adam Keefe tries to close the gap to Jake Feemster. This one's going to be tough. MkII is getting his elbows out, and there may not be enough time left for Lukashen Crow to make a move. MkII needs to find some speed, or maybe get more consistent. Ada. He's just put in a slower lap than Lukashen Crow.
Hopefully MkII can find some of that missing time and get it back.
MkII is on a mission, chasing MkII, who's desperately trying to stay ahead.
The mental game is just as important here. MkII must keep his cool while putting pressure on MkII.
It's a tight race with Jake Feimster in second, just managing to stay ahead of MkII in 3 by a margin of 0.2 seconds. Ryan Wilson wants to close that gap with MkII. Hold that thought. Tough break for Ryan Wilson, who has just lost a position.
Yes, but there's still plenty of race left. Wilson needs to stay calm and focused, and make his move when the time is right. For sure, Hal. That's exactly what I would be doing here, as MkII is going to be aware of him riding his bumper.
Hold the phone. That won't be ideal for Narwhal. Oh, this is getting intense. Gregory Myers needs to keep Sketty in his sights. MkII is holding second, but Jake Feimster is right on his tail.
Surely he's got enough in the tank to pull away. Gonna be interesting to watch this battle unfold.
This is where the race gets really interesting. Jake Feimster is closing in on MkII. Jake Feimster is pushing hard and has reduced the gap to MkII to 0.3 seconds. The battle for P7 is heating up as Gregory Myers tries to catch Sketty in P7.
Sometimes you have to take risks to win, but pushing the car too hard can be a costly mistake. Myers needs to be careful not to overdo it.
The pursuit is on. Narwhal is closing the gap on Nils Shepard, determined to claim P9. The gap between Narwhal and Nils Shepard is widening. It's now up to 2.7 seconds.
It's not over yet, but Narwhal needs to get a move on if they want to catch up to Shepard.
Look at that, MkII is hot on the tail of Jake Feimster. Gregory Myers seems to be putting the pressure on Sketty. Hold up, breaking info. Great driving from Gregory Myers, who has just gained a place and moved up to 7th.
If you don't push the boundaries, you will never know where they are.
The race is really heating up. Sketty is hunting down Gregory Myers with everything he's got.
You can see that car bouncing around as it rides the curbs. It's a risky move that could end in disaster.
Oh, this is getting intense. MkII is just a few car lengths behind MkII. It looks like we might get a battle between MkII and MkII.
This is what racing is all about. Hard-fought battles with as much determination as respect, between friends and enemies alike.
These drivers are walking a razor's edge between pushing the limits and making costly errors.
Absolutely. It's all about finding that sweet spot where you're pushing the car to its limits without crossing the line into reckless driving. This is not going to be an easy pass to make.
It's looking good for MkII, sitting in 5th. MkII is placed 6th at the moment. The pressure is on as Sketty tries to catch up to Gregory Myers. Looking at the lap times, Sketty is not currently on pace with Gregory Myers. Maybe he'll get a chance to see where to make up some time. Braking alert. A setback for MkII, who has just been passed.
That's got to be frustrating, but MkII is a skilled driver, and he's got what it takes to battle back up the field.
It doesn't seem like things are going to plan for MkII as there is a big gap ahead.
It's not over until the checkered flag drops, and it's important to maintain concentration until you've made it to the finish line.
It looks like Sketty is pushing hard to catch up to Nils Shepard. Hold that thought. Now I may be wrong here, but I'm not sure that's the racing line.
Kyalami 1967 is always a test for these drivers, and sometimes that's the way it goes.
This is where the skill and precision of the drivers really comes into play. Jake Feimster is chasing Kevin Lekmanski in P1. Jake Feimster is trying his best, but can't seem to find the pace to keep up with Kevin Lekmanski at the moment. Gregory Myers is pushing really hard, but as we know, pushing too hard can lead to other mistakes, like locking up the brakes or missing a shift. Hold on a moment. What a move. Gregory Myers has moved up to 6th.
The gap is 0.3 seconds now. Greg is going to have to work a bit harder to close that gap with MkII.
Stop the press. An impressive showing from MkII, who has gained positions and left Gregory Myers in the dust. It's like watching two predators circling each other, waiting for the perfect moment to pounce.
I remember being in a similar situation during my racing days. Lucas and Crow must stay focused and wait for the perfect opportunity to overtake.
Hold up, breaking info. A brilliant maneuver from Gregory Myers, who has just moved up the field.
Absolutely. Greg is really putting on a clinic out there, and he's making it look easy.
Pushing too hard can lead to mistakes, and we're seeing that now. That car is really unsettled from being pushed for every last bit of speed.
The racing is getting tight between Myers and Lucas and Crow as they battle for P6. No doubt, both drivers know that one mistake could cost them the position. It's a test of nerves as much as skill.
Jake Feemster is giving it his all chasing down Kevin Lekmansky in P1. Hold the phone. Oh dear, Jake Feemster has had an incident.
Did the wind contribute to that? It's blowing at 3 kph out there right now. It's a game of strategy now as Jake hunts down Lekmansky. Yes, it's all about choosing the right moments to push and when to conserve energy, waiting for the perfect opportunity to strike.
MkII is on a mission, chasing David Zahn, who's currently got a comfortable lead. MkII appears to be losing ground on David Zahn. He'll need to pick up the pace a bit heading into Clubhouse Bend to get a good exit and gain some ground. Hold on a second. Looks like that's a mistake from Lucas and Crow. This could be costly.
This is a tough situation for MkII. He'll need to find a way to pick up some speed and close that gap.
Adam Keefe wants to get into MkII's slipstream.
It looks like Adam Keefe has the speed to make a move. I just hope he can do it cleanly.
It's certainly not going to plan for Adam Keefe right now, who is struggling to keep up with MkII.
Adam Keefe needs to focus and keep pushing, even when things aren't going his way. If he can close the gap down, he may be able to bring the fight to MkII.
We are used to seeing some hard-fought but clean racing here at ASRL. I'm expecting to see nothing different here today as this race unfolds. Things don't seem to be going Lukashenko's way in this race, as that's a big gap he'll have to close to even be in with a shout for gaining a place here. It's game on now. Lucas and Crow has closed the gap to Nils Shepard. It's now down to 0.7 seconds. Every move counts now as Adam Keefe works to reel in MkII and overtake for P4.
Adam Keefe needs to focus to have a chance at getting past MkII.
Lucas and Crow is on a mission, chasing Nils Shepard, who's desperately trying to stay ahead. This is where the race gets really interesting. Adam Keefe is closing in on MkII.
It's a fine line between pushing the car to its limits and losing control. Adam Keefe is really walking that fine line.
Lucas and Crow is running 8th and trying to catch Nils Shepard. The gap between Lucas and Crow and Nils Shepard is getting smaller. This race is getting even more intense. The drivers are pushing each other to the limit.
It's like they're playing a game of chicken, but with cars. And the winner gets to take home the checkered flag in bragging rights.
That's one way to put it. These drivers have to be in top physical and mental shape to compete at this level. Breaking update. I don't think that's the fastest way around Kyalami 1967.
It's a real shame. Until this point in the race he'd been looking at a decent result. It's like they're training for the Olympics. And like you said, the mental fortitude required to stay focused and alert for the entire race is wild.
I think I need a nap just watching them. This will require some expert driving from Lucas and Crow. Narwhal is not making it easy, and the gap remains over a second.
We know Narwhal isn't just going to hand it to them on a plate. Lucas and Crow is going to have to take it.
It's like Kevin Lekmansky has saved all his energy for this final stretch. And it's a checkered flag for Kevin Lekmansky, who crosses the finish line with a commanding victory. What a phenomenal performance, absolutely dominant today.
It takes a special kind of driver to perform under pressure like this. Lekmansky has certainly risen to the occasion.
What a fantastic race from Jake Feemster, who brings it home in second place.
Brilliant. Jake showed great skill and determination to take second place.
What a race from David Zahn. He kept his cool and secured a well-earned third place on the podium. Coming in fourth we have MkII. 5th, 6th, 7th, and 8th sees Gregory Myers, Adam Keefe, Nils Shepard, and Sketty. taking 9th, and 10th is Narwhal and Lukashen Crow. Stefano Amode brings home 11th, followed by Ryan Wilson in 12th. It's a beautifully calm day here at Kyalami 1967, as we're getting ready to get things underway.
The tension's building now. This is going to be another great race.
Ryan Wilson will have the best seat in the house starting from pole position.
It's also a nightmare if he can't hold onto it. Let's see how he will handle the pressure.
Stefano Amode has a great opportunity starting on the front row.
He will have to keep his foot on the gas in order to stay at the sharp end of the grid.
Coming in at 3rd, we have Lukashen Crow.
Big things expected for Lukashen Crow today.
As the drivers prepare to take off, Narwhal sits in 4th place on the starting grid.
Narwhal will be taking no prisoners today.
Starting from the 5th position on the grid, we have Sketty.
A strong grid position, and he'll be expecting a solid result today.
It's Adam Keefe, sitting comfortably in 6th.
Adam Keefe is hoping for a strong result.
Gregory Myers is lining up 7th. Starting from 8th on the grid is a good position for Melero to launch an attack. Jake Feemster is going to be starting from 9th.
Feemster is going to show us something special, I'm sure of it.
The 10th starting position belongs to Kevin Lekmansky, who will be looking to make up ground early on. The lights go out, and we are off to a flying start.
This is where the driver's true abilities will be put to the test. Staying calm and collected while pushing for the lead is the ultimate challenge.
Settling into a rhythm is going to be crucial here. There's some intense battling throughout the field as everyone is feeling out the drivers around them.
The race isn't won in the first turn, but there have been plenty that have ended there, Hal.
Every lap is an opportunity for Ryan Wilson to learn just a little bit more to shave a few tenths or hundredths off his times. As the drivers get this race underway, let me give a shout out to the admin team at ASRL for making this all possible. Heroes one and all. I think passing is going to be difficult today here at Kyalami 1967, so it's going to be interesting to see how these drivers get on. The stewards will be hoping that there aren't too many incidents for them to pick over when the dust settles on this one.
The drivers will be jostling for the best position, Hal. Some of them may not make it to the second lap in one piece.
The racing is normally closely fought here at Kyalami 1967. I think we are in for a cracking race.
I for one am really excited, Hal. The rivalry between Wilson and Stefano has been building before the race, and this is where scores are settled.
All the drivers will be trying to take advantage of the pack whilst they're still bunched up. Ryan Wilson will be studying the nearby drivers and looking for anything that could give them an advantage.
I'm looking forward to this one, Hal. Maybe we'll see a return to form for Wilson in this outing in South Africa.
Oh, Ada. Ryan Wilson has seen his lead over Stefano Amodei shrink to 1.6 seconds.
Can Ryan keep Stefano behind? Let's see.
Things are going according to plan for Ryan Wilson, who is currently first.
Definitely, but he can't get too comfortable. There are plenty of other drivers gunning for that position, and Wilson has to keep pushing to stay on the pace.
Oh no, Ada, look at this. Stefano Amodei is closing in on Ryan Wilson. The gap is now just 1.1 seconds.
This is where the pressure really starts to mount on Ryan. He'll need to stay focused and not make any mistakes.
Hold that thought. The safety car is in play.
Let's not forget about the physical challenge of driving behind the safety car. The drivers need to keep their tires and brakes up to temperature to be ready to attack when the safety car comes in.
It's a real test of skill and endurance for these drivers, but that's why they're the best in the business. Let's see how this plays out. Rev your engines, folks. We're back to full throttle racing. Things are heating up as David Zahn tries to close the gap to Kevin Lekmansky.
With just 0.4 seconds between them, Zahn will need to close the gap to have hopes of a pass.
It looks like Narwhal is in control. He's ahead of MkII by over a second, and it doesn't look like he's going to be challenged anytime soon. The action is non-stop as Jake Feemster shadows Mellero through every twist and turn, determined to claim 7th. The race is really heating up. Gregory Myers is hunting down Jake Feemster with everything he's got. It's not looking good for Gregory Myers, who is still behind Jake Feemster, and the gap is increasing.
This is a frustrating situation for Myers, but he can't give up just yet. He'll need to keep pushing and hope for a mistake from Jake.
Things are heating up as Kevin Lekmansky closes in on Gregory Myers. The gap between them is down to practically nothing. I think Narwhal is going to try and outbrake Lola T70 MkII Spyder as they come into Liukop Bend. This could gain him the place, but it may all end badly. No room for error here. Narwhal is breathing down the neck of Sketty, waiting for the perfect chance to make his move.
And it's not just about skill and talent, it's about who has the nerves of steel to handle the pressure and make the right decisions at the right time.
Stop the press. That won't be ideal for Kevin Lekmansky. The action is heating up here as Ryan Wilson is in second, defending from Lukashen Crow, who is only 0.4 seconds away. It's been a solid race so far for Ryan Wilson. He's holding his position and keeping a steady pace.
Consistency is key in racing. Ryan just needs to keep doing what he's doing and wait for opportunities to present themselves.
Oh my, Lucas Crow is hot on the tail of Ryan Wilson as they drive through Sunset Bend.
As an experienced driver, I can tell you that Lucas Crow must be laser focused on Ryan's every move, looking for the slightest weakness to exploit.
This is a thrilling battle as MkII edges closer to Lucas Crow in their fight for P3.
The gap between them is just over 0.3 seconds. Can MkII close that gap and get back in range? I can't see it happening at this point.
Oh, this is getting intense. MkII is just a few car lengths behind MkII. This is what separates the best from the rest. These drivers are demonstrating their racecraft, searching for any weakness to exploit. It's a true test of skill. We've got an edge of your seat battle between Narwhal in 7th and Jake Feemster in 8th, with just 0.1 seconds between them. Oh, the frustration must be building for Narwhal. He's just lost 7th position to Jake Feemster and he's going to have to work hard to get it back. Hold on a moment. Fantastic move from Narwhal, who has just gained a position.
Absolutely. He'll need to rethink the strategy and come up with something new, or else risk losing even more ground. On the other hand, Feemster has been making some impressive moves and looks like a serious contender.
Breaking update. Oh dear, MkII has had an incident.
MkII is not going to be happy about that.
A solid performance from Stefano Amodei, who is holding down first.
Absolutely, and he'll need to keep driving with determination to stay in that position.
Look at that, Sketty is hot on the tail of David Zahn. We got a close battle as MkII closes in on MkII. Hold the phone, and MkII has just won the place from MkII.
Go, 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 that's what we want to see. When I was racing, we had a saying, if you're not living on the edge, you're taking up too much space. MkII is definitely living on the edge today.
The pressure is on as MkII tries to catch up to MkII. This is what it's all about, folks. Kevin Lekmansky is in hot pursuit of Narwhal, who's just trying to stay ahead. A great pass for Kevin Lekmansky, swapping places with Narwhal to move up the field.
Yes, but Lekmansky needs to keep pushing hard. This race is far from over, and anything can happen. Lekmansky needs to stay focused and drive with skill and determination.
Breaking alert. A great moment for Narwhal, who has just gained a place and moved up the standings.
That's what we like to see. Narwhal is really showing his class today.
The intensity is off the charts as Narwhal hounds Kevin Lekmansky, both drivers pushing themselves to the absolute limit. Hold that thought. Superb driving from Sketty, who with that overtake has gained a position in the race. It's neck and neck, the closest battle we've seen in a while.
It looks like Sketty wants to take a cheeky peek up the inside.
Breaking news, folks. Disappointing for Narwhal, falling down the order to 9th. This is getting exciting. Kevin Lekmansky is looking for any gap that might open up the position.
Yeah, it's going to be tough for Lekmansky to make up that gap, especially with Narwhal defending so well.
MkII has a battle on his hands now coming through the S's with MkII hot on his tail. Coming into Liukop Bend, the fight for 9th is heating up. Neither driver wants to be the first to blink. It's an intense battle for position as Jake Feemster tries to outmaneuver Ryan Wilson. This is edge of your seat racing. Jake Feemster has just put in a faster lap than Ryan Wilson, so that's going to give him something to worry about.
As long as Feemster can maintain that consistency and pace, it will be interesting to see.
David Zahn is placed 6th at the moment, and hoping to keep his distance ahead of Sketty, who is 0.3 seconds behind. Looks like MkII is really hitting those curbs aggressively, which can unsettle the car and cause handling issues. Stop the press. Great driving from MkII, who has just gained a place and moved up to 8th.
Indeed, taking too much curb can upset the car's balance, leading to oversteer or understeer.
The battle for P2 is heating up as Ryan Wilson tries to catch Stefano Amodei in P2.
I would not be surprised to see him get this pass completed soon.
These drivers are walking a razor's edge between pushing the limits and making costly errors.
Absolutely, it's all about finding that sweet spot where you're pushing the car to its limits without crossing the line into reckless driving.
This one's going to be tough. Ryan Wilson is getting his elbows out, and there may not be enough time left for Jake Feemster to make a move. It looks like Jake Feemster is starting to catch up to Ryan Wilson. The gap is now down to 0.3 seconds. It's a game of inches now as Jake Feemster tails Ryan Wilson closely, ready to capitalize on any mistake. The pursuit is on. MkII is closing the gap on MkII, determined to claim P8. It's not going to plan for MkII, who is trailing behind MkII, and the gap is widening. He may not have an answer for this right now.
This is where the mental toughness of MkII comes into play. He'll need to stay focused and keep pushing, even when things aren't going his way.
Hold the phone. Now I may be wrong here, but I'm not sure that's the racing rule.
Oops, Stefano is going to be wishing that hadn't happened.
Ryan Wilson is holding second, but Jake Feemster is right on his tail. Narwhal is pushing really hard, but as we know, pushing too hard can lead to other mistakes, like locking up the brakes or missing a shift. Good news for Narwhal, the gap to Stefano Amodei has decreased. It's now down to 0.2 seconds.
This is where the pressure really starts to build. A driver that stays calm and focused is more likely to come out on top.
MkII is giving it his all, chasing down Sketty in P6. Narwhal is looking for an opportunity to get around Stefano Amodei.
Rubbing's racing, but let's just hope they don't rub it too hard.
This is where the skill and precision of the drivers really comes into play. Jake Feemster is chasing Ryan Wilson in P2.
We'll have to wait to see if Jake can use the draft to his advantage, or if the lack of downforce will hinder his progress.
Braking update. Looks like that's a mistake from Sketty. This could be costly. Jake Feemster is on a mission, chasing Ryan Wilson, who's desperately trying to stay ahead.
The gap between them is just over 0.3 seconds, which can feel like miles if you're trailing and not catching up.
Jake Feemster is on a charge. His split time shows he's upped his pace.
Feemster appears to be pushing. Hopefully he can keep it together.
Things are heating up as David Zahn tries to close the gap to Gregory Myers. The gap between David Zahn and Gregory Myers is growing. It's now up to 0.6 seconds.
This is not ideal for Zahn, but there's still time to turn this around. He'll need to focus and not let that gap get any bigger.
This is a thrilling battle as Jake Feemster edges closer to Ryan Wilson in their fight for P2. David Zahn is looking for a way to close that gap to Gregory Myers. The drivers are getting faster as they settle into their cars and get used to the conditions, with David Zahn just putting in his best lap so far with a 1 minute. Jake Feemster is trying his best to catch Ryan Wilson.
It's a game of strategy now as Jake hunts down Wilson.
Oh, this is getting intense. David Zahn is just a few car lengths behind Gregory Myers.
This is where every inch counts. David is pushing hard to close the gap on Myers. Absolutely. Precision and control are key here. Knowing when to push and when to hold back can be the difference between winning and losing.
Jake Feemster is running third and trying to catch Ryan Wilson. It seems like Jake Feemster is pushing hard, currently on track to record his best lap so far this race. Let's talk about tire degradation. Ada. How does it affect the car's handling, and what do drivers need to do to adapt to the changing conditions?
Tire degradation can significantly impact handling. How? As the tires wear, the grip reduces, and drivers need to adjust their braking points, cornering speeds, and throttle application to maintain control of the car.
Jake Feemster is staying focused while chasing Ryan Wilson in P2. Pushing too hard can lead to mistakes, and we're seeing that now. That car is really unsettled from being pushed for every last bit of speed.
The gap between them is now just over 0.4 seconds.
Looks like Kevin Lekmansky is really hitting those curbs aggressively, which can unsettle the car and cause handling issues.
Indeed, Taking too much curb can upset the car's balance, leading to oversteer or understeer.
Look at that, David Zahn is hot on the tail of Gregory Myers. It looks like David Zahn is making a move. The gap to Gregory Myers is now down to 0.2 seconds. Every move counts now as Stefano Amodei works to reel in Kevin Lekmanski and overtake for P8.
Sometimes you have to take risks to win, but pushing the car too hard can be a costly mistake. Stefano needs to be careful not to overdo it.
Rising to the occasion and claiming victory would help to cement Gregory Myers' legendary status. The gap between Gregory Myers and David Zahn is widening. It's now up to 0.4 seconds. So, Ada, considering the high speeds and split-second decision-making involved in racing, what's the impact of even a minor lapse in concentration?
A minor lapse in concentration can have significant consequences. How? It could lead to an off-track excursion, a loss of position, or even a collision. That's why it's crucial for drivers to stay focused and alert throughout the race.
The pressure is on as Jake Feemster tries to catch up to Ryan Wilson. The battle for P6 is heating up as Narwhal tries to catch Adam Keefe in P6. Ryan Wilson is looking for a way round Jake Feemster.
And Ryan is poised to capitalize on any mistake. It's just a matter of who cracks first.
The gap between Stefano Amodei and Mellero is razor thin as they vie for ninth in this nail-biting contest. Stefano Amodei is on a charge. His split time shows he's upped his pace. These drivers are battling hard for this position, each one trying to outsmart and outmaneuver the other. Hold on a moment. Big gains for Adam Keefe as they move up the field, leaving Narwhal behind.
With the way Adam Keefe is stalking Narwhal, you'd think he's trying to figure out what he had for breakfast this morning.
Mellero could be looking for a way up the inside of Stefano Amodei.
He'll need to keep it on the road, or at the very least the rumble strips. The fastest way around is not usually in the grass. As the saying goes, too much grass will slow you down.
The race is really heating up. Ryan Wilson is hunting down Jake Feemster with everything he's got. Breaking update. I don't think that's the fastest way around Kyalami 1967.
Kyalami 1967 is always a test for these drivers, and sometimes that's the way it goes. It's all about finding the perfect opportunity. Wilson needs to stay patient and wait for Jake to make a mistake.
Kevin Lekmanski is giving it his all chasing down Narwhal in P7. Kevin Lekmanski is trying his best, but can't seem to find the pace to keep up with Narwhal at the moment.
Lekmanski needs to get it together to make a dent in that gap.
Ryan Wilson has a mountain to climb at the moment to close that gap with Jake Feemster. I expect his only hope at this point is that Jake makes an error. Hold the phone. That won't be ideal for Ryan Wilson.
Did the wind contribute to that? It's blowing at 3 kph out there right now. Every race adds to a driver's experience, both good and bad. It just highlights that Wilson is going to have to get more serious with practice to not get outclassed on the circuit.
The pressure is on as Kevin Lekmanski works on catching up to Narwhal. It looks like we might get a battle between Kevin Lekmanski and Narwhal.
This is where the race gets really exciting. Both drivers will be pushing to the limit to gain the advantage.
Looks like we've had a few incidents out there.
Someone forgot to take their driving lessons. They're making more U-turns than a confused tourist.
Hilarious. I think they might need to call their GPS for directions. Maybe it can help them navigate the track. Jake Feemster is running second and trying to keep up with Lucas and Crow. It's game on now. Jake Feemster has closed the gap to Lucas and Crow. It's now down to 0.4 seconds.
That's a great effort from Feemster. He'll need to keep up the pressure and see if he can make a move.
This is where the race gets really interesting. Adam Keefe is closing in on Ryan Wilson. The pursuit is on. Jake Feemster is closing the gap on Lucas and Crow, determined to claim P1. Oh dear, Melero has had an incident.
Melero is not going to be happy about that.
This is a thrilling battle as Jake Feemster edges closer to Lucas and Crow in their fight for P1.
One important aspect here is choosing the right braking points. Jake needs to be precise to avoid overshooting and losing valuable time.
This is where the skill and precision of the drivers really comes into play. Ryan Wilson is chasing MkII in P5.
The mental game is just as important here. Ryan must keep his cool while putting pressure on MkII.
It's a thrilling pursuit as Narwhal is right behind Kevin Lekmansky, keeping the pressure on for 7th place. It looks like Kevin Lekmansky is pulling away from Narwhal. The gap is continuing to grow as they head through Crowthorne Corner. Braking alert. A brilliant maneuver from Narwhal, who has just moved up the field. We often hear drivers complaining about tire graining. Ada, can you explain what that means and how it affects car handling?
Graining occurs when small rubber particles roll up on the tire's surface, reducing grip and negatively affecting handling. It usually happens when the tires are not in their optimal temperature window or when a driver is pushing too hard on a cold or overworked tire.
The race is really heating up. Jake Feemster is hunting down Lucas and Crow with everything he's got.
Jake is really hustling that Lola T70 MkII Spyder. He's riding the curbs and pushing the car to its limits.
It's a close race between Narwhal and Kevin Lekmansky in 6th.
And the drivers know it too, how. He's giving it everything he's got, and you can see him pushing the limits of the car's capabilities.
Jake Feemster is pushing really hard, but as we know, pushing too hard can lead to other mistakes, like locking up the brakes or missing a shift.
The racing is getting tight between Feemster and Lucas and Crow as they battle for P1. No doubt, both drivers know that one mistake could cost them the position. It's a test of nerves as much as skill.
Kevin Lekmansky has the pedal to the metal chasing Narwhal.
There is no room for error in this battle.
The adrenaline is pumping as Jake Feemster gets within striking distance of Lucas and Crow in their race for first.
Should things go south between Feemster and Lucas and Crow, we might witness a high-speed game of bumper cars, but trust me, it's way less fun with real race cars.
Braking development. It's a tale of two drivers right now, with Kevin Lekmansky gaining places and Narwhal losing them. In racing, anything can, and usually does, happen, especially in such an epic showdown.
This battle between Lekmansky and Narwhal is so intense, you could cut the tension with a knife, or should I say, with a front wing.
Pushing too hard can lead to mistakes, and we're seeing that now. That car is really unsettled from being pushed for every last bit of speed. Things are heating up as Jake Feemster tries to close the gap to Lucas and Crow.
Don't forget the role of aerodynamics. Feemster should use slipstreaming to his advantage and close the gap to Lucas and Crow.
Narwhal is on a mission, chasing Kevin Lekmansky, who's desperately trying to stay ahead.
This is not going to be an easy pass to make.
Jake Feemster wants to find a way round Lucas and Crow.
If Feemster gets too close, he might end up taking the paint off.
Narwhal wants to close that gap with Kevin Lekmansky.
I might have said this before, but dog, bone, you know the rest.
Oh dear, Narwhal has dropped down to 8th. Braking development. Heartbreak for Narwhal as they slip down the field.
Yes, but he can't give up. There's still plenty of time left in this race, and Narwhal needs to stay focused and keep pushing.
These drivers are walking a razor's edge between pushing the limits and making costly errors.
Absolutely. It's all about finding that sweet spot where you're pushing the car to its limits without crossing the line into reckless driving.
The gap between Jake Feemster and Lucas and Crow is getting smaller. What a move. Jake Feemster has moved up to 1st.
Yes, Feemster is driving with real focus and precision, and it's paying off.
The gap between Lucas and Crow and David Zahn is pretty substantial right now. It's probably going to take a mistake from Lucas and Crow to even allow David to get a look in. David Zahn is pushing hard and has reduced the gap to Lucas and Crow to 3.0 seconds. Every move counts now as Lucas Crow works to reel in Jake Feemster and overtake for P1.
The gap is 0.5 seconds now. Lucas Crow is going to have to work a bit harder to close that gap with Feemster.
Good news for Lucas Crow, the gap to Jake Feemster has decreased. It's now down to 0.4 seconds. Well, it doesn't look like MkII is going to be much of a threat to anyone soon, let alone Gregory Myers. MkII is not able to keep his pace consistent, and is currently 0.81 seconds down.
MkII needs to regroup and refocus and knock it up a notch.
Look at that, Lucas Crow is hot on the tail of Jake Feemster. It looks like we might get a battle between Lucas Crow and Jake Feemster.
Exactly what Lucas Crow needed. He can't afford to lose any more ground to Feemster.
Lucas Crow is looking for a way to close that gap to Jake Feemster. Things don't seem to be going Narwhal's way in this race, as that's a big gap he'll have to close to even be in with a shout for gaining a place here. Narwhal appears to be losing ground on Stefano Amodei. He'll need to pick up the pace a bit heading into Jikskay's sweep to get a good exit and gain some ground.
It's not over yet, but Narwhal needs to get a move on if they want to catch up to Stefano.
Wow, Jake Feemster is really pushing hard in these final moments of the race.
That's an impressive burst of speed. It's all but said and done now.
What a win. This is a historic moment for Jake Feemster, who put on a masterclass in driving today. What a display of skill and precision.
What a result for Feemster. He'll be absolutely thrilled with that performance, and rightly so. He really put in the work and it's paid off in spades.
Lucas Crow never gave up. He drove with heart and determination, ultimately securing a well-deserved second-place finish. What a race from David Zahn, showing his skill and determination for a great third-place finish. Gregory Myers, MkII, Kevin Lekmansky, and Melero in 4th, 5th, 6th, and 7th. 8th and 9th is Stefano Amodei and Narwhal. Learning Center is on his practice out lap. It's a lovely day for racing here at Kyalami 1967 as we watch these drivers warm up and get ready for the race. Learning Center is on his practice out lap.